Welcome to the NTT Data INDYCAR Series and the first qualifying of the season. We're a few moments away from going green. They've just had a little bit of a delay in the Indy Next qualifying. If you don't want to know what happened, probably don't look at the screen when we go back. But it's time to welcome in the Fox Boys. Here it comes then, folks. It's the first qualifying of a new season. Cars are being pulled into pit road. We're ready to go road course qualifying. Let's check in with Fox. And first of all, Will Buxton, James Hinchcliffe and Towson Bell.
The Floridian sunshine shines bright on a race circuit which incorporates an airport runway, skirts the edge of Tampa Bay, and runs past a Salvador Dali museum. Surreal? No, it's reality here for the season opener of the 2026 NTT INDYCAR Series here on Fox. And welcome to the streets of St. Petersburg with myself, Will Buxton, with Townsend Bell, and with James Hinchcliffe, who has only just got out of his race suit and into more suitable attire for a broadcast. James Hinchcliffe, having run the Craftsman Truck Series race here and having raced from the back on 2 occasions, put in the 20 laps of his life at the end of the race to finish in the top 10. Mate, that was astounding.
It was fun, guys. I mean, what an opportunity to get to do it. I got a little help in turn 1 there from my old buddy Dario Franchitti, then made a little rookie error myself, but found reverse for the first time ever. Fell to the back, like you say, and then...
and you learned from the Franchitti incident by letting the 13 go blowing on through.
Exactly right. Got a little involved in something else here, but look, at the end of the day, we had a lot of fun, ran our way back up into the top 10, and it was a great opportunity from Spire Motorsports to let me go run the truck, and it was hot in there, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I look kind of rough. It's because I feel kind of rough in that moment.
I've seen you do a lot of 24-hour races. You've never looked that exhausted at the end of a Daytona. These trucks are brutal inside. I mean, it was toasty. Thank you for being here, by the way. You've had a busy weekend. What can you tell us about the experience in total? I mean, looking back now, you must have learned a ton.
I'll tell you what, I wish I could start the race with the knowledge I had by the start of stage 3. You know, we only got 1 lap in practice because of weather, and so you're learning so much on the fly, how to race these cars, how to manage these tires, how to race the other drivers out there. Mad respect for everybody that runs in the Craftsman Truck Series. They are not easy to manage over a race distance. But what I can tell you that applies to what we're about to do in qualifying. The sun has come out, the track temp and the air temp is way up from what we saw in practice 1 yesterday or practice 2 this morning. These conditions very different for the IndyCar drivers about to head out there.
Well, one man hoping to get his season off to a very rapid start was a man who was very rapid this morning. Christian Lingard's standing by with Georgia.
You're right about that, Will. We were just talking. He was sitting there watching James's truck highlights. What do you think about that?
No, I need to be careful what I say. No, it looked very entertaining for sure. It was very loud. It was very difficult to do team and media appearances, but other than that, it was fun to just watch.
All right, qualifying up next, first race of the year. There have to be some emotions and some anticipation. How do you go into it?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be back, I think. I'm just really excited just to be back in a race car, regardless of really balance, just, you know, be out here and be in a competitive mindset. And have fun. I mean, car is fast. We knew we had a good car here last year. Obviously, the tires are a little bit different compared to last year, and I think we struggle a little with that in P1 to just extract the pace. I think that the pace is there on the primaries. I think we showed that yesterday and today, obviously being fastest this morning. But this is when it counts, and this is when we really need to pull it out of the bag.
Thanks, Christian.
Of course.
Well, it's been a fascinating weekend so far. 2 practice sessions in the bag. Very different looks, and very different looks for us getting ready to start this. James, I think, looking forward to a nap. He can't sleep yet, though. Qualifying follows.
Yep, qualifying follows as we'll come up into the booth. So, warning, if you don't want to get spoiled by the Indy Next results, they're on the screen now from the practice and qualifying. As we are getting all set. Data's here.
Can we get you one?
You know what? I've just been poured a double espresso by the wonderful Cynthia here in the booth. And look, I don't love coffee, but occasionally you need a little kick of caffeine. So easy way to get it.
Sounds lovely.
hope we have some viewers from these boats in the grandstands. Park in the marina and then head over to watch a little bit of IndyCar qualifying action.
I'm sure we will have. There's Will Power. Difficult weekend for him so far.
Gotta wonder what he's thinking right now. That big crash in practice. Didn't get a chance at all to run on the soft tire. Looks ready, fiercely determined, ready to go. Fastest guy in IndyCar history, but a rough start to this new Andretti partnership. You got to think it'll come right sooner rather than later, though.
And
Just too much experience, too much success, too much talent.
Yeah. All 3 Andrettis in the first session we will see today, along with 2 Penske's, 2 RLLs, a McLaren, a Juncos, a Foyt, a Foyne, and a Schenk.
He is in that first group. He's not in his race car yet, which means his race car's not there yet, which is mildly concerning as we get pretty close to going green here.
Kyle Collette really missed having a big accident this morning. That suspension, he had contact with the wall in the left rear, and then the suspension collapsed right at terminal velocity before or as he got on the brakes for turn 1. Did a great job to keep that thing out of the wall, but very lucky that didn't happen mid-corner somewhere else.
Alexander Rossi, 3rd fastest in this morning's session.
He looked great.
Oh, he did.
They sent him out in mixed conditions before the track dried up, and he was easily to P1. Hands and feet dancing everywhere. Otto Ward looks excited, staying light on his feet.
That was a fun little look back over the storied career of Alex Palou, now a 4-time IndyCar champion, was 3rd fastest this morning with just a handful of laps in his pocket. Didn't need many to go out there and set a blistering pace. The man that everybody has to beat, Alex Palou, is standing by.
4-time IndyCar champion sounds pretty good, but I bet he would also like it if it was a 5 in front of that. But it's the start of the season. You had a long off season, and we're back. It's the first qualifying of the year. How's this weekend been going for you?
It's been hectic. It's been like a lot of action going on. Super happy to be back here on track. It's been a long off season, very busy, but I just love being at the track. Being here at St. Pete, it's amazing with the weather we have and the people. So yeah, excited for qualifying now.
What's it going to take to get pole?
Honestly, it's super tight. I think it's not easy to get into the Fast 12. That's goal number 1. Try and get there. And if we get there, try and get to the Fast 6. I think the last 2 years we were not able to transfer. So yeah, that's a goal. It's just like round by round and see if we can get a good lap in. As I said, it's super tight, but I think the number 10 DHL Honda car is really good. So hopefully we can make it happen.
We'll see what he can do. Thanks, Alex.
No Ganassis in this first part of qualifying. They wait for round 2. All 3 Andrettis will go out next. And Andretti Global just won in the next pole. Well, a beautiful day, finally, that we can say here in St. Pete.
It is, but I gotta say, the heat and humidity really does do a number on drivers, and that's I'm not just saying that because it really did a number on us in the truck race around this racetrack in an IndyCar, especially since that aero screen came into the rotation, and not the rotation, into the series. You really just feel the humidity in that car. You're not getting the airflow that you used to when it was a proper open cockpit car. And heat is one thing that as the thermometer goes up, the mercury rises, that's one thing. But the humidity when you're inside the race car, you're just cooking in there. And it can just make it so much more demanding on the body. And luckily, these are relatively short qualifying sessions. But when you're absolutely 10/10ths, focus is, you know, so critical. And every little bit, by the time you get to the Firestone Fast Six, that you start to fade, that's going to cost you lap time.
Marcus Ericsson had his worst ever IndyCar season last year, hoping for a bounce back and a return to form. So far has looked absolutely on it this weekend. A renewed purpose for him in a contract year. And if he could get things kicked off on a circuit on which he's won in a positive way in 2026, then that would be a cracking start to the season for him. Joseph Newgarden raring to go. So too his teammate Scott McLaughlin, who was fastest in practice one on a much cooler day in very different conditions yesterday.
It's a tough first group there. Newgard, McLaughlin, Award, Grosjean, Power, Kirkwood, Ericsson, is Felix Rosenquist, Rinus VeeKay. I mean, he's, you know, far down numerically driving the number 76, but he's been quick all weekend long. It's
fantastic.
It's going to be a tough group in Group 1.
Is there such a thing as a group that's not tough?
There's not an easy group.
In IndyCar?
You can sometimes get slightly better.
Well, this is how qualifying works. Two groups of cars to start off, 10 minutes on track per group. The fastest 6 from each group advance to round 2. That will be our top 12. The top 12 then go head-to-head, and we have the fast 6 who will shoot out for pole. Now, it's not been an easy start to the weekend for some of the most experienced drivers in the field. In practice one, Scott Dixon hit the wall, and pushing on a slippery track and a cold track this morning, Will Power in his new Andretti car straight into the wall and straight out of the session. He was running a new setup on that, more in line with what his teammates were running yesterday. Not able to see if he liked it. No experience in that, and he goes into this qualifying session blind. Let's hear how he's feeling, though, going into what will be his first qualifying session for Andretti in 2026.
And talk to a familiar face in a new place, Ron Rzuski, now the team principal here at Andretti. What was the thrash like, or was it even a thrash because you had extra time because of the truck race?
You know, we had obviously an incident this morning, and, you know, we put the car back together. We're looking for... I think we have a pretty good idea what the track's going to be post-truck race. You know, the NXT cars already ran. We got some good feedback from our teammates in NXT, so we're looking forward to making a good run this session.
Will doesn't really know what the car is, and he's relying on his teammates. What's the confidence level there? And then how's your driver after his basically first weekend on a new job is kind of a little bit behind?
He's in a good spot. You know, we're going to be aggressive on tires here. We need to put ourselves in the best position to transfer, and you know, I think he's an experienced guy. He'll get it done.
Thank you, Ron.
Will Power has 9 pole positions at this track. Nobody has more. Nobody is faster around a single lap in IndyCar history than Will Power. But for the first time in nearly 2 decades, he will be aiming for pole position in a car not entered by Penske. Let's see how he get on. And it's going to take time for him to settle in.
It will. It will.
The problem is it won't in his head, right? It will, but in Will's head, it should be ready right now. I can tell that's how he's thinking. That's what his expectation is. He's motivated not only to show that he can do well in the new team, but I think also to, you know, remind Team Penske how good he was when he drove for them the last 15+ years. And for any driver, what you hate to hear is, yeah, it's going to take you time, as if something's lacking in your ability. And I think that's what drives Will to push right away, maybe push too hard, obviously, this morning and make a mistake. He's just got to find that rhythm, trust his inner voice, and remind himself that the process to get there is not immediate.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly right. And here's the thing: they've been quick in testing. They were quick at the Sebring test. They were quick at the Phoenix test as well. And the difference is in a test day, you've got all day to get up to speed and figure it out. This is a new setup, new team, new car for him. When you come to St. Pete, 2 hours of practice, that's not a full test day. And he didn't even get second practice.
I think for Will's immediate future, I trust what Brian Herta told me last night. Arguably the greatest driver whisperer in the paddock. And Brian said, Will's going to be just fine. Said it's going to be a rough first couple of sessions. It has been in the other tests that they've done, and then he finds his groove. Don't worry, Will is no different than he was through all of his success. He'll be right there real soon.
But the expectation, even for him, would be that he arrives somewhere new and he can make that immediate impact. How much of the back foot is he starting on?
A lot of it right now. I mean, getting into the wall this morning it's hard to get that out of your head immediately. You certainly don't want to make that mistake again, and you go from practice where you're just trying to find your feet, and now you've got no feet kind of mentally, and you go into a qualifying session where it requires total confidence. See if you can find it.
And we are back, and we are green for qualifying for the opening round of the 2026 NTT IndyCar Series here on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. Going out to qualify will be McLaughlin and Newgarden for Penske and O'Ward for McLaren. Louis Foster and rookie Mick Schumacher for Rahal. Felix Rosenquist for Meyer Shank. All three Andretti drivers, Marcus Ericsson, Carl Kirkwood and Newboy. As bizarre as that sounds after a storied career, Will Power. Rinus VeeKay for Juncos. Santino Ferrucci for AJ Foyt, and the returning Romain Grosjean for Dale Coyne. We're right on board with Joseph Newgarden. As we said, his teammate Scott McLaughlin started this weekend off as the fastest man around this circuit, a two-time pole sitter himself. And Newgarden will really want to hit the ground running this season. He won the final race of last year in Nashville. And at the age of 35, Newgarden really didn't have a very happy experience last year. Already question marks over whether this might be his final year with Penske. Just needs to get that fire back and get back to doing what he does best, which is winning races on the regular.
It's winning races. It's going fast. It's fighting for championships. And look, he's won them here. He's a two-time winner here around the streets of St. Pete. And again, he ended the season in the best possible way, getting that hometown win on the Nashville Oval. And look, this team is, I just cannot see a world in where they have a similar season to last year in terms of the lack of results, the number of DNFs. You know, we talked about that in practice. 15 across the three cars. That's almost a season. That's almost a season of DNFs. So it'll be, it's just a fresh start for everybody. And I know that especially this guy in the two wants to hit the ground running.
The controversies which have dogged this team over the last 2 seasons really began at this race back in 2024. Through all of that, through the controversy at the Indy 500 last year, you know, we were saying this is a team very much in a rebuilding process. But if you speak to the drivers there, they will say, no, the rebuilding has been done. This is where we start to build on those foundations.
And time's going to be the telling point when it comes down to it. We're going to see if those results can come quick as we switch to the onboard of Palou O'Ward. This guy's such a strong year in 2025. We've talked about it a couple times already this weekend. It was a championship drive if it wasn't for the fact that Alex Palou was doing a generational season.
James, I can't think of a year where we qualified at 5 o'clock local time. And I bring that up because the onboard of Palou O'Ward just revealed the heavy shadows that fall into the cockpit as you go through, you know, from turn 1 to turn 5. Even during the truck race, I noticed that as time went on, the shadows were pretty heavy. Did you notice that in the truck? Did it affect you visually much?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, you definitely noticed that the sun was going down, the shadows were changing, but not affecting it too much. These guys are dealing with it much worse. I mean, it was over an hour ago that the truck race finished as Palou just fighting that car into turn 1 across those strips of paint that just have much less grip than the pavement.
Well, watch how dark it gets right here for Palou O'Ward going down to turn 4, and then he kind of turns into the jungle of trees and tall buildings. You really just have to work hard to kind of get adjusted. Right in here, it really starts to darken up, and I think this is hard, with, especially with a dark black branding on the inside wall right there. I'd be very concerned about clipping a right front tire against the concrete, and then bam, right back out into the sun.
2 personal bests for Palou O'Ward through the tricky turn 10. Don't forget, in qualifying here in St. Pete, we're using the alternate start-finish line, which is just there, so you can finish your lap and duck straight into the pits if you so wish. Award on the hard tyres. A couple of drivers already out on the softs, amongst them Louis Foster, who's just gone top at a 101.7. Behind him, Mick Schumacher on the soft as well, and Will Power. Now, this is key because the soft tyre this year is very different to the soft tyre that we ran last year. Drivers really only getting a feel for it yesterday in very, very different conditions. So this is a step already into the unknown for these three drivers.
It's an interesting strategy from Will Power. You know, he had a chance to try that soft in free practice 1 yesterday, but with the limited running, with the difficulties that they've had, they've opted to go with the soft right off the bat, not do a banker lap on the hard tire. That's usually indicative of a squad that's not super confident they've got what it takes to get into Q2.
Like, might as well just throw something at it. For Mick Schumacher, I love the fact that they put him on the softs as he goes 1 click quicker at a 101.3. That's pretty impressive, but I like that strategy. Rookie driver, no experience here in St. Pete. You get very limited track time. Put those softs on right away. Let him get used to them. Maybe you get a shot of bumping your way in.
Well, I'm having to let the guys commentate a lot because we did the truck race earlier on, and my voice, if you've been with us this weekend, is not 100%. So letting Fox take a lot of it, but we've had our first lap times with 5 to go. Schumacher, O'Ward, Kirkwood, Foster, McLaughlin, Power. That's how it stands. VK and Newgarden are on improvement lap times. They'll come across the alternative start line, which is at the exit of turn 11. Schumacher faster again, 101.398, and this is Will Power down to the first corner, locking up on the front right.
For Will Power, guys, he's driving a car that isn't tuned specifically to his desires. He wasn't happy with it during practice 1. They rung the changes overnight to put on the setup that his teammates Marcus Ericsson and Carl Kirkwood were happy with. He went out this morning to see if he liked that, and on his out lap, he crashed. These are his first laps at speed in a car that he's not yet driven.
And Will, I got to tell you, it's so hard to do that. Townsend, you know what it's like when you go into a session having maybe been a bit lost or something like that, and you just sort of Control-C, Control-V a teammate's setup in just a handful of laps to try to get that ultimate pace out of it. It is so difficult to learn and find the limit when you're doing it for the first time in qualifying.
Yeah, and the consistent theme with Will Power so far this weekend is an inside front locking. That's what got him into the fence this morning. We saw several issues with that yesterday. We just saw that in turn 1. So somehow it just keeps becoming an issue for Will Power that he's not able to get the bias balance, perhaps, not able to feel when that tire's about to start to lock up and release the brake pedal, as you see crazy smoke there coming out of the brake duct on the right front.
So with 3 minutes and, well, 3 3/4 minutes of this session remaining, Mick Schumacher sits on top of the times from Pato O'Ward. Rinus VeeKay, who has been desperately impressive so far this weekend in the 2 sessions that we've seen so far in his new home at Juncos, and Carl Kirkwood for Andretti. Romain Grosjean marking his return to the series for Dale Coyne. Will Power currently is 6th. Everybody now strapping on those soft tyres and going out for their final runs as Grosjean goes to the top on the fastest lap we've seen so far this weekend, a 101.0. We're going to be under 101, I think, pretty soon for the first time this weekend. Fantastic new view, what we're calling the Ironman view, I think that.
Super cool to see that heads-up display from inside the driver's eye camera. More driver's eye cams coming at you this year from Fox. It's going to be great to get more of those views from inside the cockpit. That's where the action's happening.
Pretty cool to see Romain Grosjean go P1 there at a 101.0. A last-second deal coming together for him to be in this car with Dale Coyne Racing. He's been with them before, he's delivered before, and he's looking awfully comfortable right now with 2:30 to go.
With more on Romain Grosjean, Kevin Lee, what can you tell us?
And I think this is going better than Romain felt so far. He's been happy with what the team has been able to do, but he said, I've got no rear grip so far this weekend. They've tried a lot of damper changes, and he admitted it would be difficult to advance out of the first round. And right now, he's fastest.
39-year-old Frenchman, resident of Switzerland, back in the IndyCar Series, of course, made his debut with Dale Coyne back in 2021. Impressed from the off. Spent last year out of racing as a reserve driver at Prema. And if you're expecting to see Prema back racing this year, of course, the team which famously took pole on debut at the Indy 500, they aren't here in St. Pete. We hope, and there is an intention, as we understand it, for them to join the series at some point during this year, but not here this weekend. So we are at 25 cars for the 2026 St. Petersburg race. And Marcus Ericsson, guys, as we look at Rinus VeeKay, Ericsson is on an absolute belter of a lap.
Wait, I mean, guys, we're down to a minute and a half. This is the last 2 laps that these cars are all going to get. They really need to start counting. And you look at who's on the outside looking in: Newgard, McLaughlin, Ericsson, Rosenquist, all drivers that were in the top 10 as well. As you called it, Ericsson finishes that lap. Purple in the first 2 sectors, solid 3rd sector. That's a great lap time from the 28.
Yeah, huge lap from him. McLaughlin's putting in personal best. Ferrucci's putting in personal best. We ride on board with Pato O'Ward, who drops to 5th as McLaughlin jumps into 3rd. Less than a minute to go here on the streets of St. Pete for round 1 of qualifying. Only 6 drivers will make it through. And when you look at the quality of the field in this particular part of qualifying, there's going to be somebody leaving, somebody we'd expect to be starting potentially in the top 6, who will be out right at the start.
Pato O'Ward just gets bumped out. You got Kyle Kirkwood. You know he's going to be on a flyer as well. So O'Ward, VeeKay, Kirkwood, Newgarden, all cars that have been crazy fast. There goes O'Ward into P2. But somebody, I think, will be massively disappointed after this run.
Kirkwood only just made it and then had a big slide in that exact same place that Joseph Newgarden had it. Guys, Newgarden's done.
He should have pitted.
It doesn't matter. I mean, we've got 15 seconds left. He's just going to cool the tires for the sake of cooling them, but he is P10. He will not get another lap.
Pato O'Ward jumps up to 2nd. Personal best being put in by Santino Ferrucci. At the moment, on the outside, looking in, we ride with Ferrucci right now. It's going to be nip and tuck for him. A 21.5 for Sector 1 and 19.5 for Sector 2. Nails turn 10, runs close to the wall. What's he got over the line? Can he make the top 6 to deny Rosenquist? Maybe, not quite. Not enough for Ferrucci, who slots into 8th place. Rinus VeeKay is still pushing on, trying to make his way in. There is Felix Rosenquist in the Tom Petty liveried car.
Louis Foster.
Foster up to 4.
And a Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan. These guys were at the bottom of the charts. They put him on the soft tire early, and Louis Foster pushes his way up into 4th and Grosjean 3rd.
And Rosenquist at the last denies Will Power. So Rosenquist makes his way in. What's Mick Schumacher got?
Schumacher.
He's a little off.
Schumacher's 2/10 off at the moment over the alternative checkered flag line. Schumacher misses out. Ericsson, O'Ward, Grosjean, Foster, McLaughlin, Rosenquist, the 6 that go through. Power misses out, along with Kirkwood, Ferrucci, VeeKay, Schumacher, and surprisingly, Joseph Newgarden is going to start this race at the back of the grid.
Is out. Carl Kirkwood narrowly misses out as well, but it's their teammate Marcus Ericsson who tops the times and goes through to the top 12. Well, guys, what's the big surprise there? Is
Several.
Well, there are several.
Let's start with Newgarden.
Yeah, let's start with the obvious.
He'll go fire off 24th or 25th. I mean, that's a disaster.
Disaster is the right word. But on the flip side of that, let's look at Romain Grosjean. Let's look at Louis Foster.
Fantastic. I mean, especially Grosjean. I mean, talk about a last-second deal. He didn't know he was going to have a ride. You know, Dale Coyne's probably, putting some of the pieces together in the last couple of weeks for the team. He always does. And I just think that's a sensational result. And for Louis Foster, with a team that was really struggling in practice to find their groove. So 2 great stories there in the top 4.
2 Andrettis didn't make it through. I think that in and of itself is a surprise as well. And also shocked not to see Rinus VeeKay. He's been top 10 pretty much all weekend so far. Big shock.
Also surprised to see Kyle Kirkwood not transfer with as fast as his teammates Ericsson was there. Kirkwood was about 4/10 off.
Some big surprises. But I'm going to tell you, between the fastest, Marcus Ericsson, 1 minute flat 0.8, and Joseph Newgarden, 101.4. That is, what are we looking at there? 0.6 of a second? That's not a lot.
Bit rude for them to be using your dock for boarding and deboarding.
Now the Tiki can do whatever it wants. It's a necessary, it's a vital service here at St. Pete.
Is that how you get to and from?
That's how that's how you get back to the main lane if you don't want to just walk onto the racetrack.
How late do they run that thing?
Late enough.
Late enough. Don't you worry about it, Tim.
Don't you worry about it, T-Bell.
Late enough. Michael Andretti dominating the docks once again.
Yeah. Basically, you can bribe the Tiki to be running for as long as you need it.
Hey, and if you can't, give me a call. I'll fly with you.
Full House.
Top Gun. You watch Full House?
Here's who advances from round one. 6 drivers from 6 different teams. Marcus Ericsson for Andretti, Pato O'Ward for McLaren, Romain Grosjean for Dale Coyne, Louis Foster for Rahal, Scott McLaughlin for Penske, and Felix Rosenquist for Meyer Shank Racing. Noticeably absent the 2-car of Joseph Newgarden, and we've been saying, guys, how much he just needed that good start to the weekend to continue from where he left off at the end of last season after a miserable year at Penske. But for Joseph Newgarden, mistake in the last corner.
Which is essentially the first corner of the time lap. He just crossed the all-start finish line to finish. That was going to be his last flyer. And you saw it, T-Bell. You heard it. A little bit of rear lock. The engine started to go down, and he just couldn't catch it. But I believe Kevin has caught up with the 2-time champ.
Yeah, unfortunately. So the good thing is you have a lot of sets of the softs for tomorrow. The bad is you're starting near the back. What kept you out?
Yeah, not ideal. I mean, we had a lot of traffic when we came out. I didn't want to hold anybody up, and you know, honestly, I think that's what bit us, was just the sequencing was all off. Felt good on blacks. We've been struggling with brakes all weekend, and I felt like we got on top of that finally. So the car was really good. Unfortunate to just not put something together there. So this Estema team will fight tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. Jack.
Rocket, Renus VK, you've been flying all weekend. Not an easiest qualifying session for you. What happened?
No, we were good on the primary tire, but then going to the alternates, I thought the balance was fine. Just did not really feel an increase in grip somehow. Happy with my lap there. I don't really understand where we lost it there, but I feel like we executed as much as we could. Just probably not enough data on the alternate tire from practice 1.
Thanks, man. Best of luck the rest of the weekend.
You can sense the disappointment there from Renus VK. A really promising preseason in testing, a really promising weekend up to this point, but he will have to start from much further down towards the back than he, or I think anybody in this paddock, was really expecting. Now, here is Scott Dixon, who crashed at the tail end of practice 1. The 6-time champion with Ganassi, and all 3 Ganassi cars in this session. Palou, Dixon and Simpson. Alongside them, David Malukas for Penske in his first qualifying session for one of the most storied teams in the world. For McLaren, it's Lingard and Siegel. For ECR, Rasmussen and Rossi. Watch out for them. Rasmussen has already crashed this weekend. Rossi looks sensational. At Hunkos, it's Stingray Rob. At Foyt, it's Kaio Colette. And at Coyne, it's Dennis Hauger, the reigning Indy Next champion.
First lap times coming through then as well. Palou's done a 105.511. Dixon 107.054. Armstrong's 3rd. Lundgaard's 4th. Kyle Collette in 5th at the moment as the times will continue to go down. Dixon through turn 1, looking strong. Back to them.
It's running consecutive streak in IndyCar history. Longest streak of seasons consecutive with a win. And there's not a lot of racetracks, T-Bell, that he hasn't won at. St. Pete is one of them.
Never won here, never taken pole here.
Ah, interesting. I didn't realize that as well. But I mean, look, this is a driver that's got a lot more wins than he does pole positions. He's not that he's slow over a lap by any stretch. He's just so exceptional on race day.
Well, but I think it mirrors this guy, his teammate Alex Palou in the 10 car. Previous 6 attempts at St. Pete for Alex Palou. He qualified 16th, 10th, 10th, 7th, 13th, and 8th. So these are 2 drivers, Will, that have championship mentality from the start of the practice. It'll be 5 laps plus 1 more. They just don't get caught up in the urgency of gotta be on pole. Of course they want to qualify well, but I don't think either one of them, if you had to pick drivers that were least bothered by not either winning or being on pole here at St. Pete, it would probably be these 2 drivers, because they're so big picture and they're thinking about championship points all the time.
This guy's just gone to the top. Christian Rasmussen on a 101.8, one of a few drivers to be out there on the soft tire already. Himself, Nolan Siegel, Stingray Robb, and Graham Rahal out on the soft. Everybody else on the hard, including Rasmussen's teammate Alexander Rossi. Now, is that just to get confidence up on a tire that they don't know?
I think so, yeah. I mean, look, he had that big crash, obviously, in P2. Didn't get a lot of track time, and this is David Malukas having a very similar, almost identical,
literally,
moment to Joseph Newgarden's. That's interesting.
Fascinating.
Could be coincidence, could be something on the Penske setup. Again, we sort of heard it sounded like a bit of a rear locking issue on the 2 car. A little bit of margin there on the exit for Malukas.
One thing that's for sure, there is nothing on offer grip-wise if you get wide in turn 13.
Despite the trucks running out there for 80-odd laps and going 2 wide on the restarts.
Well, that's just it. I mean, we've got a lot of rubber down from other series. You know, the trucks did an 80-lap race there. I know that Indy Next went out to put down some Firestone rubber in between, but that's not as many cars for nowhere near as many laps. I wonder if these drivers, you know, tied into the track conditions. It was 96 degrees track temp when we started this session. It's down to 92, but that's still almost 20 degrees hotter than what we saw this morning in practice or yesterday when they got that alternate set to practice with.
Fastest time from Group 1, Marcus Ericsson, 1 minute flat, .825. We're about 0.4 of a second away from that, but Rasmussen getting closer to that time with each passing lap. Meanwhile, Graham Rahal on the soft tire has just gone fastest of all through Sector 1. David Malukas, though, is on a very tidy lap. Very nice lap from him. Puts him up into 3rd place, but don't sleep on Graham Rahal. Really nice run from him for RLL at the moment. His teammate Louis Foster, of course, progressed into the top 12. He'll be right on board with Graham Rahal into turn 10. Sweetly done. Kisses the apex, brushes the wall, down onto the bridge, flick right and then left and over the line. And that is good enough for P1. 101.2. Just a shade quicker than Rasmussen, getting ever closer to that 1 minute flat.
It's a nice jump up. Graham was P16 in FP2 this morning after being, I think, even further back than that in practice 1. So Foster gets through, very sporty in that first group. Rahal now leading the group on that first group. Of course, on the softs, not everyone is on those yet.
One driver who was Christian Rasmussen. And Kevin, I know that you've been taking a look at what's going on down there.
And remember, he was a little bit behind because of the incident that he had, the crash, which was only the nose cone, so not major damage, but didn't get a lot of intel. But his teammate Alexander Rossi was quick, and he felt like they were in a pretty good position. So he's already gone out on the softs, just on his out lap here on a 2nd set of softs. So even though a lot of people think this is going to be a soft race, you must run 2 stints on softs, and you want all you can, but they want track position. He's never finished, as you mentioned this morning, better than 15th on a street course. That was the big focus in the offseason. We need to get better, and we must qualify better to have a chance to finish better on these circuits.
Christian Rasmussen, 25 years of age, 9 years the junior of his senior teammate Alexander Rossi. There is a confidence within this team. Massive investment over the winter, and both drivers feeling that after a pre-season testing schedule, we saw neither of them run at Sebring, but both of them run later at Phoenix, that they have made a meaningful step forward with this car on all types of race circuit in 2026. Certainly the 1 lap pace here so far this weekend has looked good. But there's a confidence, a real confidence to ECR as we now go on board with Alexander Rossi.
Java House on board here of the 20 of Rossi. He had a rough first practice, was down in the 20s, I think 21st, and really stepped it up, found that pace in P2 after his teammate had that incident. But You talked about it earlier, Townsend. The shadows. This is such a new challenge for the drivers here at St. Pete. They're not normally driving at this time. You've got those shadows at your back going in there, and as we head on to this Ironman onboard with the heads-up display and the driver's cam, now you're driving right into the sun, trying to pick your brake marker for turn one. This is not easy.
For those of us who have never sat in a racing car at these speeds and on this circuit, what we see from the camera, is it lighter or darker than you actually experience in the car when you go into those shaded areas? In reality,
I'd say it's pretty accurate. You definitely notice that transition, right? Your eyes take a second to adjust when you go from the super bright turn one into some of that shade through 3 and 4, down through this section. Lots of trees through 8 and 9 where Rossi is right now. Then when you clear the kink, you're going to come back into the sun, and it does take your eyes that split second to adjust, but at 140, 150 miles an hour, a split second covers a lot of distance.
And how much does the type of visor that you're running take effect on this? Because obviously there's clear visor, smoke visor. Which ones would you be using at this point in time?
You're going to need something on the darker smoke side. You know, you can run a clear visor. Almost nobody does that when it's daylight and dry. There's light smoke. There's a heavy smoke, a dark smoke, which is kind of what I think most drivers are probably running in this kind of condition, just to protect against the sun. Yes, it makes it a little bit darker in the shaded areas. Using every inch of racetrack on the exit of turn 9, but that's what you have to do, as we see his young teammate Kiffin Simpson, who was so quick earlier this week.
Marcus Armstrong goes to P1, Kiffin Simpson goes to P4. The time's now starting to tumble, as we would expect them to, with just over a minute remaining. Scott Dixon getting all crossed up and will spin. No,
almost
saves it just, and will
Saved
save
it.
himself. If he's managed to save a yellow, and he has managed to save a yellow.
Got to really hustle right now to give himself one more lap. Critical 101 to go. I think he'll just make it around.
You see him looking in his mirror there. Nolan Siegel.
Dixon having a small mistake there, and that's cost his lap time. He'll get to go again with 50 seconds to go. He'll flat spot the tyres. Armstrong and Lingard going up there. Alex Palou going to the top. Expected that one, though. And Dennis Hauger, the rookie, up into 3rd place. Palou looking super strong. Rasmussen gets ahead of Rahal. Simpson's improving as well. Stingray Rob, he's P9 at the moment.
And we'll get another run at it.
Dale Coyne Racing has figured something out on these soft tires. Teammate to Dennis Hauger, Roman Grosjean, also looking very sporty here as Malukas comes through. Finish, he'll get one more lap at the line if he wants it.
He may not need it. Wonderful middle sector for David Malukas, and Lil Dave goes top.
Malukas in the number 12. Team Penske goes to the top. Graham Rahal misses out. He goes 8th fastest. On board with the Java House now of Alexander Rossi. Rossi, no, 11th fastest. Over the line though, next up. Armstrong's gone through. No one else improving. Rasmussen's on the bubble. Dixon's improving as well as they fly over the line. Dixon might get to Colette, goes 11th.
Get around in time to have one more lap, and if you look at the tracker there on the left-hand side, he's just in the green to bump his teammate out.
This will be his best lap so far. Best for him in the 1st sector, best for him in the 2nd sector. Can he make it up into the top 6 to go through to the top 12?
Oh, he might have blown it there in turn 10. That was a little
Dixon's
awkward,
missed out.
James, getting on the power there. And he had it until he didn't.
So Dixon misses out. Malukas, Palou, Armstrong, Hauger, Lingard and Simpson, the 6 to go through to the round of 12. Rasmussen misses out. Dixon, Rahal, Rob, Siegel, Colette and Rossi. So P8 for Dixon is not what they expected here.
Lingard will. Dennis Hauger as a rookie will, so will Armstrong, Palou and David Malukas. Well, that's how you get it done if you're David Malukas. Fastest lap we've seen so far this weekend on debut for Penske. Thank you very much, into the top 12.
It's exactly what you would expect from somebody who got the most desired seat available, that number 12 Verizon Team Penske car, and Malukas demonstrating all the talent that would be expected of that kind of achievement. That's pretty cool.
It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling when you've switched teams, you've upgraded. There's no two ways about it. The expectation is there, the pressure is there, and you go out. Look, it means nothing in a lot of ways. It's Q1, right? But there was no mistakes made. His teammate made a mistake. Joseph Newgarden didn't make it through, and not only did he make it through, he put a good amount of time on Alex Palou. So it's a great feeling. I had a similar situation when I first signed with Andretti, coming up from Newman Haas. First Q segment in an Andretti car at St. Pete, go P1. You have this sense as a driver, okay, I belong here. I deserve to be in this car. I can do this with this sort of machinery. And I guarantee you, Malukas is sitting in this car right now knowing, look, the job's nowhere near done, but he can get it done if it all is done right.
It's one of the things about St. Pete that I love is it's a no-nonsense racetrack to start the season. You can't fake it around here. It's too unforgiving. And that little clip that we had yesterday of Malukas in practice 1 was sensational.
Sensational.
Yeah, sensational.
A lot of people here enjoying the race in different ways in the grandstands,
Maybe
on the back of boats.
No more so than Bad Daddy.
Maybe on a cruise ship.
Maybe. You ever been on a cruise?
Not one that big. Small cruise.
Two Ganassis make it through from Group 2, Palou and Simpson. Lingard for McLaren, Armstrong for MSR, David Malukas for Penske. And look at that, Dennis Hauger, the rookie. First time since Gateway 2022, both coin cars make the top 12.
Now, I wish those clouds were just a little bit more over the racetrack and cooled it down for everybody that's strapped into a race car with a helmet on.
Could have done with that a couple of hours ago.
Oh, I would have loved that a couple hours ago. It was beautifully overcast at the start of the day for that first practice, and then right before the truck race, that sun came out and really just cranked up that Florida humidity.
I'll tell you the bizarreness of those clouds. It is clear, crystal blue. Each direction you look, not a cloud in the sky. And then you look there, and the most monstrous cloud is on its way in.
Delicious pile of whipped cream off in the distance.
I was going to say it looks like the mountains. Looks like beautiful snowy peaks.
Look at these guys. Ericsson fans?
What are they singing? Yes, they're Ericsson fans. Decent job from him.
He's got a lot of, I'd say that, yeah, fastest in his group, but that's a, he's got a lot of good fans. He's got a lot of vocal fans.
Always has had. They've followed him around the world, wherever he's raced. He spent some time racing over in Japan when he was in Formula 3 back in the day. They'd follow him there. He's had a very loyal legion of fans for his entire career.
I love that. I feel like Swedes and I feel like the Dutch as well.
Yeah.
Like to follow around their athletes and their racing drivers. They show up in a big way. Small groups can make a big impact.
Yes, especially with singing like that.
Fair.
Well, going through then is Ericsson, O'Ward, Grosjean and Foster, McLaughlin and Rosenquist, Malukas, Palou, Armstrong, Hauger, Lingard and Simpson. What a run from Hauger as a rookie. What a run from Grosjean returning to the sport. Well, phenomenal.
What I think's fantastic is all offseason we heard about all of the massive investment from so many teams, right? ECR, McLaren, Ray Hall, MSR, all throwing big money into the bags. And then little Dale Coyne Racing shows up on a last-second deal and just smokes everybody to get into the top 12. Very cool.
Well, in the last session, problems at turn 13 for David Malukas and in the first session for his teammate Joseph Newgarden.
Scott Dixon as well.
Scott too, yeah.
Yeah, almost all the way. I'm not quite sure how he saved that. That was pretty impressive. Andy Stahl kicks in.
Well, we can find out how he saved that because he's standing by with Kevin.
That was impressive for Scott as he talks with Brad Goldberger, his engineer, just to get another crack at it. Did that take away any chance to advance, though, with that save from the spin?
Yeah, I think it kind of cooked the rear tire. Like, it's the same thing I've been struggling with this morning. Yesterday, the car was pretty good until, you know, I had my unfortunate incident there. And then the harder I tried to push to just gain the time, especially on rear combined, it would just slide. So I think we were through until I tried to go a little bit deeper in turn 10, carry the speed, lost the rear then again right before the line. So it's frustrating. It's pretty tight. But I think the car, you know, when you're not at maximum attack, is pretty good. So we'll have to see how it rolls tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
Scott Dixon's wait for pole position here in St. Pete goes on.
Yeah, you heard him say it there. We saw it on the onboard. Just went a little bit deep in turn 10. He was tracking just enough to get through. A couple hundreds to the good. But that's IndyCar racing. You have to be so precise. You cannot leave anything on the table. The margins are so close, especially around a relatively short 1.8-mile 14-turn corner, 14-turn course, I should say. So disappointing for Scott. But how about that? Hasn't missed Q2 since 2013 here in St. Pete. That's a heck of a run.
Tells you a lot about the competitiveness of this championship and what we may be looking at for the majority of this season. And Towns, a few moments ago, we were talking about, when we were just in commercial break, huge expense that teams have put in to their teams over the winter. And here we are with Dale Coyne, the very last team to have confirmed their driver lineup with both cars in the top 12 against huge outfits that we might have expected to get their drivers in.
And usually the last team to confirm team personnel also. I just find it absolutely remarkable. And if you're one of the several teams that was touting step up in investment and optimism, you're pretty crestfallen right now, frankly. You're just like, well, we don't appear to have been that much better. We spent all this money, and here Dale Coyne turns up with a rookie and a guy that just got confirmed that everybody else had overlooked in the paddock, and both of those drivers in the Fast 12, top 12 right now, and maybe with a shot at the Fast 6.
One team who did look good in preseason testing and entered this weekend bullish was Meyer Shank Racing. Both of their drivers have made it into the top 12. Felix Rosenquist, Marcus Armstrong. Rosenquist running a continued relationship with SiriusXM this year. This weekend, his car liveried for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
MSR, of course, having that technical partnership with Chip Ganassi Racing, shared data, sharing engineering support. So in some ways, you can almost look at those two squads combined as a bit of a five-car effort. They can share information. And we've seen how quick the Ganassi cars can be around here as one of them sits on top. And then, of course, now Rosenquist and Armstrong fit in right behind Alex Palou. So those cars, that team, figuring something out here at St. Pete early on.
The Ganassi relationship is certainly paying dividends. You think about Palou and Simpson, Rosenquist, and Armstrong. So that's 4 of the 5 Ganassi-affiliated cars. We just documented Dixon's struggles there, but as a group, they're delivering.
Palou, Armstrong, and Rosenquist are top 3 at the moment. Lucas, Lingard, and O'Ward inside the 6. Palou will go from 12 to 6 in this session to fight for pole.
Yeah, top 12 in the Firestone Fast Six, and Palou just looks really sporty on this lap. He just seems so put together. A 101.6.
Well, that was huge for Louis Foster to crack into this top 12 group. Didn't see that coming based on the struggles that they've had. And when they went soft straight away in round 1, I thought, okay, well, they're kind of desperate here, but maybe that's what made the difference.
He's just so good over a lap, Kev. We saw it a lot last year, and he just seems to have picked up where he left off.
Also, one thing to note that the tire rules are different this weekend. 2 sets of the softs must be run in the race. They do not have to be new. And Louis Foster is the only driver so far to advance out of round 1 that did advance, that used already 2 sets of softs. So he does not have a lot of options. If he wants to keep using new sets, that means he's got to run a used set tomorrow.
Interestingly, that's what they were doing last year on the road courses until they realized they actually had the out-and-out pace. They didn't need to use 2 sets of soft in the first part of qualifying. But RLL trying to get their heads back around street courses and around ovals this season to become the full package. Award to the top on a 101.2, and it's Foster, Palou, Lingard. This guy, David Malukas, 5th and improving as it stands as Rosenquist jumps up to 6th. Malukas goes 5th, Armstrong 6th. What about this guy, Scott McLaughlin? So fast to start off the weekend.
Fastest of the runners on the hard tires so far. Award Foster, Palou. All set those laps on the softs, presumably a used set from Q1.
Grosjean into 6th on the hard. His teammate Dennis Hauger is on the soft and is pumping in the quick sectors and goes 4th.
Right now, Award on those soft tires slower than the transfer time to get into the top 12. So that just shows you that those alternates, those softer tires, maybe not holding on well enough for a proper second run.
McLaughlin currently 5th over the line and improves to 4th. Guys, how tough is that turn 10 to really nail? Because it's such a key corner on this track, and it's the last corner you have to contend with before this run to the alternate line.
It's the second fastest part of the racetrack outside of turn 1, and in turn 1 you've got a lot of margin if you lock up a little bit, slide wide at the end of the runway. Turn 10, totally the opposite. There is no margin. There is nowhere to go except in the wall if you just get wide of the apex. That's what we saw with Will Power with his crash, and you've got to make a critical decision. We saw Ferrucci have to bail out. James, you had it in the truck today, wisely taking the overshoot there, but if you're on your one precious qualifying lap where the tires are optimized, you've got to nail turn 10. That was the difference for Scott Dixon. He didn't get 10 right.
Exactly right. And turn 10 is such a quintessential street course corner. It's 90 degrees. You're coming off a long straight. It leads to an important exit. It is kind of, you know, it's kind of atypical for St. Pete. This track, not like a Detroit that's full of a bunch of 90s and 180s and very much kind of stuck to the street course layout. This one has some character, has some flowy fast stuff, but turn 10 is as basic as it gets, which makes it deceivingly difficult.
It is, and you can miss a little in turn 1 and lose a little, but you miss a little in turn 10, you can lose everything.
There is our 4-time champion, Alex Palou. Didn't start in the top 6 here last year, but really didn't matter. Put in a beautifully controlled, beautifully thought out race to take victory and start off the season, which really ended up defining new standards in IndyCar racing. Unstoppable in 2025. What level will he be in 2026? Currently sitting 3rd, and all pretty easy for him at the moment.
You mentioned it earlier, Will. This guy's never been in the Firestone Fast Six here at St. Pete. His average start position is 10.7. And he did it from last year. He did it from 8th place just by systematically, methodically picking off positions to get himself inside the top 4, and then watched as 3 teams just unraveled in front of him, and essentially the seas parted, and he took the win to start what was such a dominant campaign.
One of the things I really enjoy about an Alex Palou qualifying lap is when we're watching from the booth, or if you're at home watching, it's so hard to tell when he's on a flyer. Nothing really changes with his hands. It's not like there's some big lurid slide and he's just about banged a wall, and we're saying, oh, this is on a flyer. It's so hard to tell the difference between him pushing and conserving. It's so hard to tell in the race when that's happening. He knows, but he's so consistent, so smooth, so precise. It's very difficult, even to the trained eye.
And so fast. This will be his 18th consecutive top 12 start in IndyCar. And when we talk about his 8th place start last year, it was his second worst of 2025. His worst was 9th. I mean, that's just the level of this guy. Best worst in the world. He knows it better. Certainly when it comes to race results, he knows how to manage that. As Romain Grosjean second. McLaughlin now setting the pace, fastest of all through Sector 1. We ride on board with Felix Rosenqvist. Just over a minute and a half remain in this session to go through to the Firestone Fast Six to fight for pole position. Rosenqvist over the line, and no improvement for him. But what can David Malukas do? A nice first sector, not as fast as his teammate Scott McLaughlin, not as fast as Alex Palou, but he's blistering in Sector 2.
James, minute 15 left. Dale Coyne Racing is in the Firestone Fast Six with both cars. We'll see if they can hang on. There's a lot of green on the tree, but a heck of an achievement from that team as McLaughlin goes P1.
McLaughlin goes P1, Malukas goes P1. It's a Penske 1-2 with a minute left to run.
Yep, we've got Hauger, Ericsson, all on a better lap times as Palou goes to the top. Grosjean goes into third place as well. But Simpson, Rosenqvist and Armstrong also is all improving as they try and come through with 40 seconds to go out here. Is there going to be a moment where you think now is the go point as they come down to the braking zones? Ericsson goes P2. So Ericsson manages to find some time, but he's fighting in the penultimate corners. Kevin Simpson goes 7th. Simpson just misses out. But he's on and look at Marcus Armstrong. He goes through into 5th. Dennis Hauger goes through. On his rookie race, Hauger looks like he's going to make it. Foster into 9th. McLaughlin top. Malukas next over the line. He's still P5 as the flag comes out. Armstrong looking stronger over the line. Well, Palou stays second. There's the slide. Here comes the 66. Checker flags out. Does Armstrong make it through? Well, we're waiting. I think he's yes. No, 7th. He's missed out. Marcus Armstrong misses out. It's now the top 6 going through of McLaughlin, Palou, Ericsson, Hauger, Malukas, and Romain Grosjean go through. Armstrong misses out, so does O'Ward, Foster, Simpson, Rosenqvist, and Lingard. So Scotty Mack tops it. I wonder if he'll go back-to-back poles like he did. Well, he had pole here last year. That could be something to watch out for. Not a bad result. As we'll wait to sync up because we're about to get in our NASCAR viewers from the O'Reilly Autosport Series. They'll transfer back over here. Several drivers just changing over. So Scotty Mack, Palou, Ericsson, Hauger, Malukas and Romain Grosjean are the top 6 as we wait to go through. Going to get quite close at the end of this one. Here's your money on, folks. This is going to get quite an interesting run. So we're about to sync up with our NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series viewers. So we will stand by. Half the group makes 0 sense. I agree. Pato O'Ward missed it, but Dennis got through. It's mad, isn't it? And hello to the viewers who've just joined us from the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Welcome to St. Petersburg. We are getting ready for the final round of qualifying, the Firestone Fast Six. At the moment, Scott McLaughlin's gone through. He is going to be alongside Alex Palou. He's gone through, as well as Marcus Ericsson, Dennis Hauger, David Malukas, and Roman Grosjean.
When we interviewed Hauger a month ago was how much help, if any, would be coming his way. Does Grosjean get any of that exposure? Is it just for Hauger? How does that all play out? I don't even know if we have an answer as we sit here right now. Maybe one of you two can enlighten me. But what is that relationship? How much are they getting? And does it even matter because Hauger's second quickest of the bunch, even if he is Andretti related?
I don't know the details, but I can tell you that they did a similar thing with Kyle Kirkwood. Had him farmed out to AJ Foyt Racing, there was no technical partnership there. Those are rival teams, rival manufacturers.
I don't believe it's similar to the MSR CGR relationship. I don't think it's anywhere near that. I don't even think it's near to the AJ Foyt Penske relationship. I think it's a little less.
Either way, terrific. And for Roman Grosjean, imagine how good he feels right now.
Mate, a year on the sidelines, back in.
Unbelievable.
Bang. I love that. Welcome back.
I don't think many people had both Hauger and Grosjean in the Firestone Fast Six.
Pretty sure
their predictions.
Well, and Joseph Newgarden last row in the same session.
Yeah.
Dude.
So it's, do we have that right? Newgarden and Rossi, 23rd and 25th.
24th and 25th.
I believe Collette's 24th.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Buxton can't do math.
Welcome to the 2026 season.
That's hard.
I'm here for every second. This is going to be great. This is going to be great.
You don't want to miss this one, the World Baseball Classic. Aaron Judge, Paul Skeens, Bryce Harper suit up for the Stars and Stripes as Team USA takes on Brazil Friday at 8 Eastern, only on Fox. And these are the drivers who progress to the very first Firestone Fast Six of the 2026 season. Alex Palou, 2025 champion. No real shock there. Scott McLaughlin, quick all weekend. 2 pole positions on this track. No real surprise there. Ericsson been quick this weekend. Malukas and 2 Dale Coyne drivers. Bring it on.
Louis Foster, I should say Lord Louis Foster, actually. I have to imagine, after how practice 1 ended, you transferred, you're going to be starting 9th tomorrow. You got to be pretty happy with that recovery, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, coming back for a second year, being able to improve on where we qualified last year is a good start. But yeah, that shunt yesterday didn't really knock us too much. It was one of those really silly crashes. I'm sure you've experienced some in your time. So we didn't really, I'm really too concerned. But yeah, boys gave me a good car. Think it's going to be interesting tomorrow with the new red rule, see how that plays out. But yeah, big thank you to Drop Light who are here this weekend as well. You know, first time being with them for the full season, so we're looking forward to what is to come.
I've done more than one goofy thing in a race car, there's no doubt about it. Louis, this visibility, the sun setting, was there a particular corner that might have been making it extra difficult or pretty plain sailing?
Pretty plain sailing. It's a bit slipperier than last year. I mean, pole time right now is, what, a second slower? Or the time they're doing right now is a second slower we did last year. So it's quite tricky out there. Turn 1 is a bit of sun glare and you can't really find your braking point and you just have to kind of guess, which is never fun. But I think, yeah, generally it's not too bad. I'm sure the boys in the Fast Six will figure it out.
Thanks, buddy. The best mustache on the grid, Louis Foster.
The only mustache.
He's like a ginger Magnum PI, isn't he?
That's why it's
Hadn't considered that.
I've been trying to think of who he looks like.
But now I can't unhear that.
We need to get him some flowery shirts.
No, I mean, you shaved that mustache off his face last year at Road America.
I know, and it grew back double thickness.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping you might have to do it again.
Well, I told him, shave your head, like shave your mustache, cut your hair. That's 2/10. A lap.
At least.
At least. There's that much hair.
Throw another little mini shout out here. Stingray Rob, quicker than Renus VK, his teammate, by
Crikey.
100th.
By 100th.
That's progress. That's a great job from Stingray Rob.
Sure is. They'll start 19th and 20th, respectively.
We're back at St. Pete, and we are about to have the Firestone Fast Six. One driver, though, who would have been hoping to make it into this six, but will not, is McLaren's Pato O'Ward.
We're good. I got Pato O'Ward missed out by, what, I think a 10th, just over a 10th to be able to advance, and you'll start 8th. Can you dissect what you're missing when it's that tight?
Yeah, I mean, I think we missed the track evolution there a little bit, and that balance kind of fell off the perfect window, I would say. But we need to see, because it looks like Christian also struggled a little bit. So, yeah, I don't know. I definitely didn't have more in it. It's about where we've been today. I think yesterday was a little bit worse. But, yeah, around 8th, flirting with like a Fast Six transfers where I knew where we were. And, yeah, we didn't really take that big of a step to make it a little bit easier for us to get into Q3. But very happy with my car on primes. The soft tires just been a little bit more difficult, as it's been in the past for us. So we need to dive into that and see what's going on, because I do think that the car was capable of being a little bit higher up, obviously on the other tire, but that's not the one you need to transfer.
Okay, thank you, Pato.
Firestone Fast Six.
The disappointment clear for Pato O'Ward, but, as he said, happy with the car on the primary tyre, the hard tyre, and won't be as disappointed as he was this time last year, where he qualified 23rd, but he made up 12 positions in a brilliant race through the field to finish 11th. He will start tomorrow in 8th place. These then your drivers who are contesting for pole position: Dennis Hauger, Indy Next champion, IndyCar Series rookie; Alex Palou, a 4-time IndyCar champion; Marcus Ericsson, who has won on these streets; Scott McLaughlin, who has 2 pole positions on these streets to his name; David Malukas, you ride on board with him now in his first race weekend for this Penske team; and Romain Grosjean, who has a pole position at this track already in his pocket in his IndyCar career, and returns to the series after a year on the sidelines. Less than 5 minutes remain, and guys, honestly, between them all, I just can't call it right now.
That's the beauty of IndyCar. It's really anyone's game. I mean, nobody would have called 2 Dale Coyne Racing cars in the Fast Six. No one would have called only 1 Andretti Global car in the Fast Six. So this is still very much up for grabs. It's anyone's pole to take.
Let's talk tire selection for a second, because no requirement to run a brand new set of sticker reds in the race anymore. So is everybody going to throw on their 3rd set here of sticker reds?
Yes.
I would think so, unless you think, well, we don't have a shot at pole, so we're going to save them for the race. Kevin, what can you tell us about Dale Coyne Racing and their result this weekend?
Well, one thing I'll tell you on tires, and we're still kind of tracking down who's on what. I did see Alex Palou go out. I believe that's his 3rd set. He was on a sticker set of the sauce, so that's kind of the balance. That means he's going to use a used set in the race tomorrow. But what an amazing performance this is for Dale Coyne Racing. As I mentioned, there wasn't a huge amount of optimism by Romain Grosjean, and that wasn't pessimism, it was just realism, considering they hired some people recently. He had never met most of the people on the team. It's been a long time since Bill Pappas has engineered an IndyCar. As we chatted, I said, you know, Bill is really smart. And he said, that's what everyone tells me, and I think we're going to get there, but we probably need to be a little bit patient. Grosjean, though, has always been a master at this place. He's been here 4 times before. He's qualified in the top 5, 3 of those 4 times, and has a pole. Can they possibly stun everyone and start in front of the season opener this weekend?
What an astonishing storyline.
Awfully deep on the brakes going into turn 4. Romain Grosjean goes purple in sector 1, so he is in full push mode right now. I guess what I could ask James is, does anybody try to do 2 sets of sticker reds? I'm not sure there's enough time to get them up to temp.
Yeah, and I'm not sure you want to have absolutely no sticker reds left for the race tomorrow. We talked about how using used reds in the race can sometimes be tough, especially when it's super hot and humid out. Track temps are up. Speaking of track temps, down to 87 degrees. So constantly getting cooler, constantly getting a little bit faster.
That's encouraging, though. Grosjean went out full push. McLaughlin full push straight away, and Grosjean quicker than McLaughlin. I just don't know if McLaughlin started on a used red set. But Grosjean, no doubt, in DCR looking fast. Dennis Hauger, meanwhile, on his first flying lap.
It looks like McLaughlin, we've got some data. We're not entirely sure how accurate it is, but it looks like McLaughlin might be on his new set, brand new set, like we sort of expected. Same for Dennis Hauger.
And that shows Grosjean with 10 laps on this set of tires, so.
Well, Grosjean with the fastest middle sector we've seen so far today, but Alex Palou with a purple first sector, 21.4, 19.2. This is some lap from Alex Palou. 1 minute 40 on the clock. And the four-time champion hoping to lay down a marker and challenge the other 5 drivers in this session and say, catch me if you can.
But just as Palou on a flyer, McLaughlin, who's behind, goes quicker in Sector 1. He goes purple as Alex Palou jumps to the top with a 1 minute .6.
A 1 minute .6. McLaughlin in the last round was a 1 minute .5. Malukas over the line goes second. We ride on board with Scott McLaughlin.
That sounded really good right there, James. Just right at the limit on the brakes, threshold braking perfectly to the apex. Is this good enough to go to the top?
You bet it is. It's a 1 minute 5.42 by 1,000th of a second, the fastest time we've seen so far today. Less than a minute on the clock. 6 drivers in the hunt, and they've got to beat Scott McLaughlin, a man who has taken 2 poles here in his career so far. We ride on board now with Marcus Ericsson, 6th of 6th.
He was fastest in Sector 1, personal best in Sector 2. Can he nail this crucial turn 10? It's going to be flat out through 11 and 12 to the alt-start finish line. He'll get 1 more lap if he needs it, and he goes to P2.
Lovely stuff from him, back on board with David Malukas.
It's not a great lap that he's on right now, not tracking to improve.
But he'll get time for 1 more if he can kind of re-rack and gather it up. Malukas stays 4th.
10 seconds remain until the checkered flag. Can McLaughlin get through for 1 more lap?
He's
done.
out.
He's done. So 1 minute .542. That is the target time. McLaughlin's session is done. Everyone behind him will be done.
So look at Dennis Hauger. Could he take pole position in his first ever race over the line? Hauger! 3rd! It's a second row start for the rookie, Dennis Hauger. Scott McLaughlin, back-to-back St. Pete poles. Ericsson 2nd, Hauger Palou row 2, Malukas Grosjean row 3.
It will be McLaughlin on pole for a 3rd time on the streets of St. Pete from Marcus Ericsson.
When is the last time we saw a rookie deliver a St. Pete performance like what Dennis Hauger just did in qualifying?
Robbie Wickens in 2018 put it on pole, but hey, this is a slightly different situation, I guess. You got to be impressed with that effort, but you got to be impressed with Dale Coyne Racing as a whole.
A rookie has just out-qualified a 4-time champion to sit on the 2nd row with inarguably the driver of 2025. Dennis Hauger will start alongside Alex Palou. David Malukas on his first race for Penske will line up on the 3rd row alongside the returning Romain Grosjean. The hero of the day, Dennis Hauger, be in no doubt. But this man, Scott Dixon, has taken control of this team in the off-season.
Scott McLaughlin.
What did I say?
Dixon. Easy to do.
McLaughlin.
Scott's from New Zealand. We got a couple of them.
He's good too.
Scott McLaughlin takes control of this team. What a wonderful way to start the season for him. A 3rd pole, and Kevin is standing by with the pole sitter.
Well, he first wants to go over and congratulate the team. This is a very tight-knit group. Remember, this is where Scott McLaughlin made his IndyCar debut, realizing a dream. He won his first IndyCar race here, and now he's won 3 poles in the last 5 years. How did you get it done?
A great team. Raul, my new engineer, he's a good man. He gave me a great car, but we've had a lot of experience here with a great car as well. Just really pumped. Obviously, everyone knows the slog that we went through last year, so just to start it on this note for the decks and all our partners is fantastic. So, yeah, bloody good. Bloody good.
What a view to start the season. Scott McLaughlin will lead the field to the green to start 2026.
Well, how ironic is it that the 3 is on pole position? Tim Cindric, of course. Let's hear from Dennis.
Debut P3, you just introduced yourself so amazingly to this entire paddock. That must be absolutely awesome.
Wasn't really expecting that, to be honest. I mean, we were a bit on the back foot in practice, but we really just kept on going. And man, it was super nice in qualifying. I got some experience on the red tires, and we're pretty quick. So good start. Still got a day tomorrow, so we'll keep working, but definitely more than I could hope for.
Awesome, man. So many congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
What an incredible run from him. Marcus Ericsson's wait for a pole position goes on. So close.
Row 1, Scott McLaughlin, Marcus Ericsson. Row 2, Dennis Hauger alongside Alex Palou. Row 3, David Malukas and Roman Grosjean. That's how they line up after the Firestone Fast Six. Row 4, Marcus Armstrong, Palou O'Ward. Row 5, Louis Foster, Kiffin Simpson. Row 6, Felix Rosenquist and Christian Lingard. Row 7 on the grid, rows 7, 8 and 9, Wolf Power and Christian Rasmussen, Carl Kirkwood and Scott Dixon, and Santina Ferrucci alongside Graham Ray Hall. Row 10 of the grid, Venus VK, Stummy Rob. Row 11, Mick Schumacher and Noonan Siegel. Row 12, Joseph Newgarden and Kyle Collette. Row 13, Alexander Rossi. Well, we had to wait for it, but it was all sorted here as we take a look around the beauty of St. Petersburg. We'll be back tomorrow for warm-up and all the action from the opening race of the IndyCar season. Thanks for your company. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.